Copium, bro? Fuck you, Mahoney. It's not copium. They're teasing it so hard, bro. They're teasing it so hard. I'm not coped up at the wazoo, bro. This is happening. 100%. All right, okay. So video number 2. This is SCOTTEJAYE's video that he just posted recently. Let's do it.
Hey, I'm Nora Valletta. I'm a lead software engineer on WoW Classic.
What's up, bro?
I'm Josh Greenfield. I'm a senior game producer on WoW Classic.
What's up, Josh?
I'm Scott. I've spoke to both of you before, fortunately, which is very nice because it's a lot less.
Wait,
stress.
I'm gonna get my hat. Hold up. BRB. Short BRB. It's right here. Ugh. Look good? We're good? Yeah, we're good. Cool. Oh my god. Okay. Bro, I'm actually like getting ecstatic about this release right now. This is gonna be so fucking fun. Yeah, bro, no worries. If you have any other questions, let me know.
Stressful a second time round, but I do my best to try and make World of Warcraft classic content, and my best is all I can do. If that's not good enough, then well, we'll just jump straight in because I've got a really nice, easy one, which I'm hoping that might spur some thought on from you both anyway. So, like, it's very easy for us, you know, as the players, to get really excited about all.
Best time to start WoW on Season of Discovery. It's new to all of us. I think so too. Yeah, we're all going to be in the same boat. And I think it's cooler because you're going to be figuring out new things on top of, like, you know, trying the game out for the first time. So yeah, I think Season of Discovery is definitely a good option.
All these things you're doing, because I just want to put it out there, like, it is very exciting. Like, the unknown is just what's, you know, that's what excites me. You know, we've
100%.
been playing Classic
I agree.
since 2019, which is a solved game, and now we're playing something where it's like, I don't know, you know, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But what excites you as developers for what you're actually doing with Season of Discovery?
I think for me, the most exciting thing is just seeing how long it's going to take everyone to sort of find everything and
How long?
the game.
Okay.
And
Okay. How long do you guys think it's going to take for everything to be discovered, to be figured out, to be, like, meta'd and put into guides? Woogie said he thinks literally, like, same day as today. Like, it's going to be a couple hours a day. It's all going to be figured out. Vinny, a week? I think a week too. Personally, I think a week because, again, there's a big zones. There's a lot of places to go, a lot of caves to discover. But who knows? No one knows for sure. No one knows.
and getting to do that kind of several times throughout the leveling process is very it's really cool as a developer working on it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. There's a lot to be excited for. I'll try to pick something that I haven't already said in an interview. There's a lot of really fun experimentation happening in Season of Discovery, and so one of the things we announced recently is that on PvP realms we'll be enforcing faction balance.
Yep.
And that's not something we take lightly. I don't think that's something we've ever attempted in the history of World of Warcraft. So it's something players have been asking for. And especially with the Ashen Vale zone-wide PvP event and with the possibility of additional PvP events in future brackets, I think now's a good time to put those measures in place and see how it goes. I'm really excited to learn from that.
Yeah, 100%. I
100%.
must admit that did take me by surprise because without sounding too negative, I never thought you'd do anything like that. Like, I've got to be honest, like, because I know the it's very easy for us to sit here and go, why can't you balance the servers? Like, why can't you just give us faction balance?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it sounds
it's harder
easy,
than it
but then
seems.
when you think of the knock-on effect of, like, if I wanted, like, the biggest I'd say negative of it is if I'm well established on a server and then I say, like, my mate wants to come and start playing the game and I'm like, yeah, come join me, and he's like, I can't, your faction's locked.
Yeah.
So I know it's sort of dangerous ground you're treading on, but obviously, hopefully it all works out, because I hope it does. Like, I'm a big advocate for it. Like, I've been wanting you to do something with faction balance literally for so long. But
yeah, it's a hard thing. I think also having a background of game testing, it's like there are certain things that take a lot of time and effort and no one's going to be happy about, and you have to really think of what the best solution is. And honestly think from my perspective, this is one of the simplest and easiest things without like consuming too much time or like literally changing the core essence of the game to bring faction balance. You really just you have to force a lock on the opposite faction and make it so people that want to play in that realm have to play on that faction, you know? So, but at the same time, based on like at least the server we're playing on, I feel like it's going to be very balanced. There's a lot of different communities, especially with what streamers bring, and that's going to definitely bring us some balance to it, I think.
Like again, it's very easy for a non-developer to stand on the other side of the table saying, "Just do it," you know. So no, that's really cool. So while we're talking about changes, we're trying to keep Season of Discovery feeling as vanilla as possible. But obviously, at the same time, it's not, is it? You know, at the end of the day, it's a very different beast. But we're hopefully getting the nostalgia from the zones, the dungeons.
Yep.
You know, and just generally being back in sort of Eastern Kingdoms and Azeroth, yeah, all the old zones.
Exactly.
What do you feel about like smaller quality of life changes? Because we're seeing these big changes from runes with like paladins now having Divine Storm and like mage healers. But there's still, when I'm diving into all these classes, I'm seeing things like rogues. Just as an example, there's tons. Like the list is too big for me to even sit and talk through. But like rogues poisons, you know, they've got Envenom where they're going to be banging up these poisons really, really quick. But then the poisons have got charges. Or paladins, you know, with having 5 minutes and 15-minute greater blessings. Like, could we get 10 and 30? Just general class quality of life changes.
The way we've been kind of approaching those, like I guess for folks who've been playing games since vanilla WoW and have continued playing various games throughout the years, you know, expectations on what is a reasonable gameplay experience can shift over time based on what you've been playing. And whenever I hear a suggestion
100%.
that I have that initial reaction of, oh yeah, obviously that change seems obvious. We should just do it. It's better all around, right? Even then, in those situations, like I have to take a step back and realize I might not be seeing the whole picture.
Yeah.
I might be trying to apply really, really, really modern, you know, game design to a classic game, and it might.
Again, another good thing to think about is like they don't want to, like he wants quality of life stuff, but the whole, I think a whole part of classic being classic is the grind and how hard and long it takes to get certain things, and that's what makes it classic. It's so satisfying. Like grinding really hard on your profession and making yourself a really solid piece feels good because it takes a lot of time and effort. You know, like getting your green or a blue takes a lot of time and effort, right? So like finding the learning pattern for like raid wide buffs, you know, it takes effort. So like you can't just like put that as a glyph. You know, glyphs were like a very quality of life change, but it made the game a lot easier. It made the game seem less, you know, classic. This is classic, right? It needs to be hard and a grind and all that stuff. Will dungeons have a lockout? I'm assuming so, right? I thought that was in the base game, right? You can only do 5 in an hour, right? Unless that was different, but I thought in original classic they had that too. I thought they did. So
might shift the whole experience. And so for that reason, and because we all care about, like you said, preserving that sort of sacred classic feeling, the classic team's always discussing those quality of life changes of that nature, even the ones that seem more obvious than others.
Yeah.
Yeah. One other aspect of this, and this isn't necessarily a reason not to do it, but it is, you know, you talked in the last question about how, you know, it seems like, just do this, it's easy. A lot of things that are suggested to us, and we have to kind of play the what about game whenever we answer those questions. Like, well, what about if we made Paladin Blessings 10 minutes, what about X, Y, and Z on
Exactly.
the line? And one of the things that is a little bit challenging is because we're sort of building this on the framework of original World of Warcraft or like era WoW.
Yeah.
There's actually not a way to change that like Blessing of Might to be 10 minutes and not have it change era. Now we could make copies of the spells, and then it gets into this big long pipeline of like, okay, we have to think of every version and every rank of every spell that we want to do that to. Is that a good use of our time? It might be a good use of our time, but those are questions we have to ask ourselves. So, you know, with a 10-player raid size to start with, we think this is going to be pretty manageable.
Yeah.
So you'll definitely, as a paladin, that is kind of almost a rite of passage in original WoW of like you're leveling. It's like, all right, let me give everybody 5-minute bus. It's like 10 people is not that much.
Again, like you said, it's classic. That was how it was in classic. That's how it feels, right? So the quality of life, it'll change the feeling of classic for one, and two, again, my developing experience working as in developing place for a game studio, there are time investments that need to be prioritized. I've worked on games that I'm like, okay, this is something we should work on, but the developers don't think so. They think, okay, it's whatever, we're gonna pass it, we're gonna ship it, and that's gonna be what's gonna be on the build. But other people have different opinions, and that's just how it is. That's how game developing works.
But yeah, it's definitely something that we're thinking.
Especially on a game of this size. I've never worked on a game of this size. Like, I've worked on decently sized games, but nothing like World of Warcraft, right? So I'm sure they really have to really prioritize their time.
We're looking at, we're listening to feedback on, but it's not necessarily as simple as just like, oh, just change one number. It's really
100%.
like,
It's always convoluted
for one spell,
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd say you are open to adding quality of life changes, but are we expecting any? Is there any we're expecting? I know you don't want to spoil too much, obviously.
Yeah.
Never say never. It's mostly just what feels right at the time, and also like what Nora said, we're really careful about this. Friction is kind of a part of vanilla. Friction really is, and some of these things that add friction, you might in the moment get annoyed and have a knee-jerk reaction that says, "Oh, this isn't good" for whatever reason. But it's like, those little incremental things is what actually moves you further and further and further away from vanilla. So that's something we just need to be careful of.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I worked on code, and changing a buff timer isn't that big of time investment. I think he means like, when you change one thing, obviously there are going to be some stuff like a buff timer, right? That's going to be very easy. When you change that, that's fine. But then you have like the 8 ranks of that buff, and then you have how that affects a player, and how if the code that affects that player, and that gives them those stats for that long amount of time, or like a rogue poisons, changing that to have a longer duration or more charges or whatever the case is. Like, it's doing all of that for every single class on every single spec and on every single ability. That's what the time investment is, because it's a large game. You know what I mean? Obviously, individually, it's pretty quick.
The rogue example with poisons, I'm already talking to rogues that are not just going to be carrying 2 daggers; they're going to be carrying like 10. Daggers
multiple daggers, 100%.
To just switch between daggers instead of reapplying poison.
Yeah. What a uniquely vanilla thing.
Yeah.
For good or ill,
Yeah. No, it's cool. Yeah, it was more like, rather than getting into the specifics, even though I gave specific examples, it was more the fact that you're open to some of these quality of life changes further down the line.
Sure.
While on quality of life changes, obviously runes.
Oh, wait, okay. Now I understand. So when I was playing classic hardcore with my rogue, I totally forgot that there were charges to your poison. It's as a timer that it can be on, but in that timer there are a certain amount of times your poison can proc before the poison's gone from your weapon. So that makes sense now. So when you're doing end game raids in the classic era, like, you have to constantly reapply poison during combat, so people are just weapon swapping, so they have enough poisons. At least in the 25, like, obviously the later end, like late game poisons, that you don't have any worries. They're going to be long and a lot of charges. But the early game poisons, they're very weak. So it's like you're going to, at level 25, these lower brackets, you have to weapon swap. That makes sense. You're the rogue man, you should know this shit. Hey! Just because I am, doesn't mean I am, okay?
So, we're going to have 12 at launch, maybe more. Who knows? You might be hiding something from us, but... let's say there's 12 at launch, like we assume there is.
God.
For future runes, I want to word this properly, because are we expecting you just to continuously just throw loads and loads of abilities at us? So like.
Oh, good question.
Like, here you go. Here's another ton of abilities to choose from, or will we get more? Like a bit more like minor glyphs from Wrath, so more like quality of life / utility runes, where it might remove reagent costs from certain spells, or it might.
You tell him, Woogie. What the fuck, Vinny? Do you want me to ban you? I will.
allow certain things to be used
Little
in
bitch!
combat, or do you know what I mean? Those where it's not actually just here, have another button to press.
I think that some of the runes, like as you'll see in the 1 to 25 bracket, and as you'll see
Okay,
in
also, sorry, I'm getting distracted. So the question you just asked was a good question. So a lot of these runes, obviously, there's by the end game, by 60, there's going to be a lot of fucking runes, right? And he's wondering, like, are they all just abilities and talents, or are you going to add like quality of life stuff like reagent costs and whatever? Because that would be cool. Like you can like do like a full like reagent build, so you have like a build with runes where you can make a bunch of free stuff and then you switch to your regular build. It's kind of cheesing the system, but
future brackets as well.
something like that would be cool.
Some runes are definitely more impactful to a class than others.
Sure.
And so there is a bit of a range of like, okay, you know, this rune may be less impactful than one that allows you to tank as a warlock or something.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
That being said, it is one of those things that, like you said, we're trying to be extra secretive about to make sure that we don't spoil too much. But you can expect kind of a spectrum of, you know, impactful runes.
You can share. It's fine. We're all friends here, and I promise I'm not recording. All right.
You can share. Yeah, just tell us, bro. Just tell
I
us.
think
It's
one
fine.
of the fun things about rooms is that, and the fun things about the way we're sort of rolling out content in Season of Discovery is that it actually gives us a little bit of room to kind of pivot on things if we decide that it's like, oh, well, you know, we had this many abilities planned, but maybe that's too many buttons. Maybe we'll scale that back a little bit. You know, we can do other different things. And so there's a little bit of that we have. Also, I will say that going into it, whenever we were first sitting down to kind of design, it was a big, long process just to figure out what runes we were going to have. Like, here's the fun tidbit for you. When we started, we had 3 times as many per leveling bracket.
Wait, what? Okay, so he just said that they had 3 times as many runes per leveling bracket. So each class from 1 to 25 is confirmed to having at least 12 runes, right? There could be more. We don't know. We have to experience it, but we know we're at least having 12 runes. So at least the possibility was each class having 36 runes from 1 to 25. And again, the amount of runes from 25 to 40, 50 to 40 to 50, 50 to 60 was all, each bracket had 3 times the amount of runes. That's wild. That is insane. Because I will say it is a little bit of like a like mind fuck when you get to the point of having all these runes. If it was 3 times the amount, you'd have hundreds of abilities to choose from. That's way too much. And you don't want to have people having rotations that it's like, you know, a rotation that's similar to retail, right? You got to keep it simple. By the end, we'll have every slot with runes. Yeah, bro, this is going to get nuts. This is going to actually get crazy by the end of it. And I'm assuming with like new raid releases, they're also going to put runes in those raids too that it can drop or whatever. Like, it's not just limited to the leveling experience. They're probably going to have end game runes that you can get at end game as well. That's insane, bro. That's insane.
And we scoped way back, and we did that for logistical reasons as well as.
I wouldn't like that. Me neither. I don't want to have hundreds of runes. 100%. That's way too much. I think by 60, having like upwards of like 50 or a little bit over 50 could be a good balance, because like obviously talent trees have like, you know, 50 talent points, right? They'll lock a spell behind a raid. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe that's a bad idea. That's probably a bad idea. Yeah. Or maybe like something in class that they did was you have to do a raid to get raid wide buffs. Maybe there's a rune that gives like a raid wide quality of life change, and that is something you can find in a raid. Obviously, like a spell to use. Obviously should be open world. Yeah, I think they should just be open world. You're right. Quests and puzzles. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Buttons. But whenever we were designing, we sat down, we looked at how many actives the classes had. We looked at how many, you know, what kinds of things we wanted to do, and what could we accomplish with passives versus actives, and what could we be like, what would make a rotation too busy. So by the end, by the time we get to 60, we kind of have a target number of what we want for each class in terms of
mustache coming back. Anyways,
versus other types of effects. So, yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
And that's one of the reasons that's one of the reasons we're sometimes so, I think, cryptic in our responses is because sometimes it's not that we have something set in stone. It's more like something like, okay, we might actually pivot on this thing in the future, so we don't want to promise something now and then.
Well, I like their way of like snaking through everything, because old Blizzard would have had a set in stone idea. This is what we're doing, and it's going to take us 2 to 3 years and a new expansion to fix it. What they're doing here is they're giving us what they want to give us, but it's in a limited fashion, so they can also change and pivot and move things around whenever they need to if it's not a good thing. I think that needs to be the developing like team of Classic and retail. They need to be able to pivot and change things whenever they want, because then the game will always, at least has the opportunity to always be good in some sense. It's not even their idea. They ripped the whole thing from Turtle WoW. Sure, yeah, but I think the again, using the systems and pivoting when they need to, etc., is a good general workflow for testing and developing.
When it's called Season of Discovery, I mean, I appreciate you don't want to give too much away. That's why
exactly.
I want to try and ask you more broad questions rather than like really specifics, which I know you're not going to be able to answer anyway. But you did say, Josh, you were saying about like you've got in mind already how many active abilities there's going to be, etc. And you mentioned level 60, so I am really intrigued on how you're deciding on like what runes, like when you introduce runes now at level 25, you've already got level 60 at mind. So like at level, you're not playing it phase by phase where level 40, now you worry about balancing everything at 40. Do you consider level 60 the real end game of Season of Discovery still?
I mean, level 60 is always a major focus for World of Warcraft. You get world buffs, you go and you smash raids like that. That's the whole PvP honor system, getting rank 14, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Level 60 is obviously that is the real end game. But at the same point, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make each one of these kind of interstitial leveling bands feel full featured and feel fun and have their own
100%
that emerges
100%
and keep that changing over time. But yeah, I think we're definitely working towards level 60, and we already have in mind, like you'll notice there's some runes that have words.
Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the blurred background is the original Classic trailer or expansion trailer,
and allusions to other things that you don't even have access to yet.
Okay.
So that is a thing, and we do have ideas for how we're going to build, not even ideas, but pretty firm plans for how we're going to build that stuff out. But there's always room. I think what we're getting at, there's always room to kind of pivot, and there's always room to kind of make adjustments on the fly as if what we have kind of scoped out in our minds now doesn't end up playing out the way we hope it will.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
It's good.
I mean, that's really good. Like, I was actually hoping that was the answer to the question. I was hoping that it's not just more or less just like each phase is its own end game. Like, yes, it is, of course. Like BFD and the level up rates is really fun. I'm looking forward to that.
I want this all to lead. Like, again, I think what he's trying to get at here. Holy shit! Why am I doing this? I think what he's trying to get at here is he hopes and wants this all to lead to the level 60 endgame content, which will be Classic Plus. I think that's what he's trying to get out of them. They want to be able to confirm that they're doing this all, so by level 60, we have a really good set of abilities and class identities and stuff like that for all this new endgame content that they could release. Like, I already talked about this, but Hyjal, Grimpatol, fucking Karazhan Crypts, all these sick fucking places we've never went to and discovered being introduced is so cool.
I want to know that I'm here till 60, and 60 is like where it all kicks off. So is that at 60? Is there multiple phases? Do you know? Is that like obviously we know we've got each phase up to 60, but then is everything going to be available at 60, or is that not known yet?
We'll roll it out in phases like we did.
Good.
Oh, okay.
Good.
2019, yeah.
2019 phase rolling. This is not Season of Discovery. This is Classic Plus. They are not going to keep this temporarily, because Season of Mastery was like a year, right? A year, 6 months, whatever it was. It was a short amount of time. They're literally making Classic Era WoW again. They're going through all these brackets, right? Time gating everything, and then they're also doing phases in Classic Era. they're really pushing the envelope of keeping this as a long-term thing, not a short-term thing. This is going to be a long-term game, 100%.
That's awesome. So it's going to be like a nine-phase season.
They may not look exactly the same as they did in 2019, but there will be incremental unlocks of different.
They may not look exactly the same as 2019. Bro, it's coming. Classic Plus is coming. I don't care how many times I say it.
That's also made me really happy as well.
It's coming.
Otherwise, we'd have just been rushing straight into Nax, wouldn't we?
Yeah, no.
Holy shit, dude.
It was fun to watch it in hardcore. That was really entertaining. But
Oh, absolutely.
for this, we'd like to do it a little bit more traditionally, I guess, while not being traditional at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
Copium, bro? Fuck you, Mahoney. It's not Copium. They're teasing it so hard, bro. They're teasing it so hard. I'm not coped up at the wazoo, bro. This is happening. 100%.
I think Season Discovery is going to be very fun, actually.
Yeah.
So if you're already thinking about 60, you probably know what I'm already going to ask. Raid sizes. I've thrown around that you're actually sticking with 40-man.
Raid sizes.
I'll be honest with you, I don't like. I know many people do, but you know, is there any chance?
Last time Blizzard teased hard, they had a big sexual harassment case. Okay, we're just gonna skip over that comment.
Chance of different raid sizes at 60?
I always want to say there's a chance, but there's nothing for us to promise in that.
Okay, so they're doing 40-man raids still.
I've thought about this a lot personally, and what kind of what is the quintessential difference between original WoW and like Burning Crusade or
Do we know the server yet? So I don't think the names are out. They're doing maintenance right now. It's supposed to end in 4 minutes. So the names of the servers will probably be released in 4 minutes. But I am playing Alliance on the RP PvP server. That's where I'm going. So I think everyone else is kind of following me there. Yeah. But you can play Horde if you want to. RP PvP, bro. It's gonna go hard. It's gonna go hard. Okay, I'm checking the realm list real quick. I want to see if it's up. Nope, nothing yet.
And having played through all of 2019, I started a guild at the beginning of 2019 Classic, and it's still together. We're still ICC now.
Guild's still going. That's crazy.
And I will say that one of the things that's nice about 40-player rating is that not every single person has to be super. You know, you can take friends and family.
You can take some noobs into Molten Core. That's true.
You know, with the design of
so basically, what this is saying is, like, if we do the plus side of Molten Core and 40-man raids is we can bring Vinny, pretty much. That's what's happening. We're able to bring Vinny into the raids, and because it's so easy, right?
Burning Crusade and Wrath tend to kind of
your mom's coming back, making a comeback, yo. KBB, get KBB in here, brother.
You know, everyone really kind of.
You calling me shit, maybe. Wait.
Do everything, and it's. I think it's a little less social in general because of that. It's rewarding.
Oh yeah, 25 mans is less social, a little bit.
Easier to manage as a radio, for sure. But so I think it also comes down to like how do we best spend our time too is like retrofitting like Molten Core to make it a 20-player raid.
Oh yeah,
a good use of our time.
Yeah,
I think as a developer, I think I'd rather put that time into more new original cool stuff. So I don't know.
More new original cool stuff. Classic Plus hype. I'm not coping. You're coping, thinking it's not happening, bro. It's fucking happening. Yes.
Oh, so
little bitch.
We'll see there, but never say never is always kind of the answer. Is like I wouldn't necessarily say that we're totally fully locked in on only being 40-player raids.
Okay, I can see what they're gonna do is they're gonna keep the original classic raids the same with 40-man, but the new raids they introduce in the phases. They're gonna have 25-man options and whatnot. I think that just makes the most sense. It's better time investment doing that than again retrofitting all these old raids into 25-man raids.
60, but we do think it's something that is uniquely vanilla.
It's not as easy.
Bro,
as
my
just
blanket
kind of
fell. I'm getting too
making a
hyped.
Number on our end. It's
Yeah.
not like a trivial change for us to make. Like Josh said, there is a bit of a time investment, and we have to figure out where to spend that time.
Yeah, and as you say, you could spend the time on new, fresh content that is 25 man, which we've not seen before. I mean, leave all the old raids as 40 man, and then start releasing new raids.
Yeah, exactly.
That are 25 man. Did you just confirm that? Yeah, I'm taking that as a yes.
He didn't confirm nothing, guys. He didn't confirm nothing. Confirmed. Fucking bitch. Bro, guys, I'm getting so fucking hyped, dude.
The level up raids, though.
Holy shit.
So BFD, obviously, we've not really got confirmation on what the future ones are, but are they going to be available in dungeon form as well? Or are the level up raids completely replacing its like existing content?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, they will. The level up raids will be a replacement for the dungeons. Season of Discovery.
Cool. Yeah.
So they're replacing original dungeons with the level up raids. That kind of sucks. I feel like it wouldn't have been that difficult. I mean, I say that, but like adding like a raid, you can just like, okay, convert to raid. We're going into Black Fathom Deeps. It turns to the raid version. Keeping it 5-man dungeon keeps it 5-man dungeon. But whatever. What class you picking for Sod? Rogue. All day, baby. All day.
Bit of a shame. I was still hoping to do some of them in 5-man, 5-man group.
It does suck a little bit.
Again, that's probably just an absolute nightmare for you, having to do it all twice. But a dodgy one, which I don't know if you're going to be able to tell me too much about.
Oh, shit.
Feral Druids. Are you planning on making any changes to how they play, as in terms of power shifting? Do we still expect to be using like manual crowd pummelers and Wolf's Head Helm still at 60?
Oh! So what he's asking is, because Feral Druids back in the day had no CC, no stuns, are they going to change Feral to have stuns in base?
Thoughts around that we might see? You've not got to tell me specifics, but like, is it being thought about in any way?
Yeah, it's being thought about.
Yeah, it's been thought about. That's it. That's it. That's all he said.
You've got that look on your face where you definitely.
Oh God, this guy's really pushing the envelope.
I'm good.
Yeah? So it's being thought about. So we could potentially still be using manual crowd pummelers and Wolf's Head Helm in raids at 60. I'm not gonna get anything on either.
Oh God, they're not. No, oh my. Oh, dude. Okay. If I'm being honest, being him, I would feel so awkward. Like you've been asked a question and you can't say yes because it's obviously put in the game, but you also can't say no because it's a lie. So you just can't say anything, and they got you. They got you. Like they got you in a corner. They get to bring Rinfear buff now, bro. Imagine.
Find out, Scott.
Yeah. Okay.
Play and find out. Okay. Yeah. Let's play, guys.
It's
Play the game.
the 9 classes that I level anyway, so it's fine. I guess I will find out. Another one class specific, and I know it was mentioned. I think it was at the BlizzCon Q&A. Enhancement shamans, specifically with the focus, and I know you guys have already said, look, yeah, we're focusing on dual wield.
Dual wield enhance, yeah. But we already know that's been confirmed.
Noise for 2.
Yeah, we know 2-handed shaman's been confirmed.
Any significant change?
You're probably in Warrior Mage, but don't know which to pick for first character. I would recommend Mage. Warrior is harder to level in Classic. They don't really have anything going for them until later levels. So it's going to be kind of difficult to, I would say, to level. Mage literally has everything. You can make your own food, water. You get to attack from a ranged distance, so it's easier to, kite and not get killed from melee. They have a lot of crowd control, CC, snares, stuns, whatever. So good damage. I would definitely recommend Mage. If it's your first time playing, 100%.
Is there or?
There will be plenty to discover once Season of Discovery Realms launch. In fact, one of our folks internally found a 2-handed enhancement build at 25 that performs better than dual wield.
Okay.
Let the community figure it out when they have access to all the runes.
So there are going to be viable 2-handed enhancement shaman builds. It's not just a rune that allows for it, but it's viable and it's compatible.
In the meantime, perhaps our 2-handed enhancement shaman friends will discover something nice.
Pause. It's past. Oh shit.
Molten Core to make it a 20-player plan.
In the meantime,
Keep in mind, dude.
Or I'm having some sort of.
for something nice, like
Okay, we're there. Let me check the servers real quick. I heard Mage's Brain off. It in Classic it pretty much is. That's why I'd recommend it. It just to get the use of the use to the land and the lay to get the lay of the land of everything. Definitely play Mage. If you can play Mage, anyone can. I mean, are you wrong? No. All right, servers are not up. We go.
later down the road as well.
Okay, all right, I'll take that. That might keep him quiet for 3 days. And along the same lines, again with the priests, a lot of them have been talking about like a smite spec. So having some instead of having shadow form, having some sort of angel form where they can DPS as holy.
Oh,
I mean,
holy
it's a
DPS
bit of a
angel
two-parter
form.
because that, like,
That'd be
I know
cool.
it might be planned in the future, so it's more, are you thinking about it? But with what you've done with Mage being basically an atonement healer, could we expect to see a disc priest fill in that role as well?
I think one thing to keep in mind, we kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, is that we're working towards each phase is sort of additive to what came before.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talents, there's a lot of abilities that haven't come online at 25 yet. So I think you'll find as time goes by that a lot of opportunities that you maybe didn't expect, or maybe you did expect or hope for, may come online in later phases. Now, speaking of priest, smite priest specifically, I nothing to say there. I don't know. We'll have to play and find out. But there's definitely in a lot of classes they have a lot of things that are either not fully represented yet in what has been seen or what will be seen in 25, but will come online a lot more later.
Okay, so they're just building it. This is like they're trying to make it so you can play the game at 25, but they're building onto it. They're building on that level stuff. Bro, I'm gonna play the shit out of this game, dude. You're not playing Mage, so you can lick my nuts. What are you playing, Vinny? I thought you were playing Mage. Are you not?
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I mean that
has to come out first. True.
I've been saying to people, in terms of like when they're like, "Oh, warriors are going to be overpowered," or "Rep paladins are going to be overpowered." It's like you have no idea. Like, how can you even say that? Like, okay, you might do a little bit more damage at 25, but then by the time you're at 40, you could have
told you in Discord like 30 minutes ago you're playing Lock. Oh, sorry, I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm so hyped. I can't remember. If I'm being honest.
From top to bottom, and then at 50 you might be back at the top again.
And I
that's true.
Really want to stress, just to kind of help set expectations, like trying to chase perfect balance at 25 or 40 is probably folly, and it's not something we're going to spend a ton of time on, because we don't want to spend all of our development time chasing our tails on these interstitial leveling brackets. We want to focus on making each class kit as fun as we can, but there's going to be a kind of a peaks and valleys, I think, like you described, where there may be one phase someone's super strong, and then on the next phase some of your key abilities come online, some of your key talents come online, and another class becomes super strong, and that's okay. That's gonna be fine. That's what we're expecting.
Yeah, manipulation is really fun, but also
okay. So what they're expecting is throughout the leveling bracket, everything's gonna be there's gonna be some classes that are gonna be strong because of the talents, right? Obviously, during certain leveling brackets, like I said, 25 to 40, I can definitely see rogues getting very strong, because at 40 they get Blade Flurry and Adrenaline Rush. That's a massive spike for rogue, and they're gonna be able to really pump with that, right? Whereas other class don't get all these big abilities at 40, right? So I think there are definitely going to be brackets where they're going to have really strong classes, really like meta stuff to play. But I think, like you said, I think they're planning on all this to lead up to 60. 60 is where it matters. The true end game is where they want to make sure it's not super OP, which is good, which is smart.
Yet, so I think I'm sure we'll learn a lot more also in the 1 to 25 bracket once that's out and players, playing.
Yeah, I mean, but by the time you walked off stage at BlizzCon, I mean, there was already tier lists of what class is going to be best on YouTube. I just want to put that out there.
I try not to cringe every time I see them, but it's all good fun.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun, sometimes. So I don't blame it. Go ahead and theory craft to your heart's content. Just know that
do it.
Josh is warning.
Theory craft. I did.
It may not pan out exactly the way that you thought it would.
Yeah.
Based on what you discover in the season.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So I've not got you for too much longer. So I'm going to have to be picky because there's two juicy ones that I really want to ask, and I think I'll go
two
with
juicy
the
questions.
easy one, which I think I already know the answer to, but random dungeon finder. So before you just say no and turn your cameras off, just bear with me. Obviously, we know it's like
RDF and classic,
love or they hate. You know,
interesting.
And there was, massive divide on whether it should or shouldn't be there. Would you consider like more so than it just being in the game at level 60? You know, each time we get a new phase. So when we go to phase 2 and everyone's on their way to 40. Having, even if it's not random dungeon finder as we know it, and it was more like the LFG tool that you guys developed for Wrath, because I actually thought that was amazing. Like in comparison to the retail version that we've got now, I think the one that you actually put in initially was just much better. So would you consider something like that for the previous brackets where people are struggling to get groups because everyone's higher?
You picked the question you thought was going to be the easy answer, but it's actually a pretty involved answer. We put a lot of thought into this because we've asked ourselves this.
It's actually really
the
good question.
The lesson we took away from Wrath is never say never, right? Like it made a lot of sense to us early in Wrath to say, oh no, that's not really something we want to do, and we kind of thought the community would want that too early on, and then we saw that wasn't the case. So never say never. But at the same point, I think one of the things that we really need to keep in mind, that we're trying to keep in mind, is that the original WoW kind of vanilla world it works much differently. There's no meaning stones to summon people. You can't summon people inside of instances. There's no flying mounts to let you kind of escape bad situations. And there's a lot of reasons to be out in the outside world. And I think the design, we made a very deliberate design decision with Season of Discovery, to focus on the outside world. And I think that it's pretty safe to say that any other kind of version of original WoW we ever want to work on, the outside world, the world is the main character. We say this, it's like written on a whiteboard here. We say it to ourselves all the time.
I don't know what to play if we're doing Alliance. Bro, you could play Horde, but yeah, I mean, I'm playing Alliance. I think obviously Woogie is, Vinny is. I think a lot of the boys are playing Alliance too. So obviously I think you'd want to play with us. But I mean, bro, do what you want. I mean, you could play fucking hell yeah, Classic Boy with the Classic Plus with the boys, 100%. But I don't know. I mean, obviously you play Paladin and Wrath, so I don't know if you want to do that again. But you could do Rogue too, bro. I mean, you don't have to not do Rogue because I'm doing Rogue.
And that's something that we don't want to really detract from. So making a deliberate choice like that to sort of detract from that is I think somewhat unlikely. But
Rogue Bros, it is. Do it, dude.
We're trying
Fuck
very,
it.
very hard to listen to players and what they want.
Fuck you, we both.
And if the wind starts blowing in a different direction, we're not going to dig our heels in and say stomp our feet and say no. We want to do what's the right thing to do for the majority of people that are playing.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I was just expecting a no, and that was it, And I'll be honest with you, RDF, like I would, as a big, RDF enjoyer, I like RDF, but I would actually in this game particularly.
Actually, sorry, Woogie. I'm actually, or Mahoney, I am banning rogues in the guild. I'm the only rogue. Woogie made a good point here. I need all the gear, so sorry.
I would prefer just the LFG tool.
Yeah, and I think better tooling for finding groups is not a bad thing. I totally agree, especially in a game like this. You do need to talk to people. You need to interact with people, but it doesn't need to be maximum friction. So again, I think that when we share a lot of resources between the clients, and it's definitely possible that we could do something like that at some point if it makes sense to do so. But not, the LFG group find, not random dungeon finder, but the group finder.
Yeah.
Okay, so they just confirmed they're not doing RDF at all. But if the community wants it, they will introduce the LFG tool from Wrath Classic. Pretty much is what he's saying. So it's good. I think the LFG tool in Wrath Classic, the original one, was perfect. Like RDF has made it very easy, but like I thought the first part of Wrath with that LFG tool was amazing. It did really well for me.
No, that's brilliant. And probably got time for one more quick one then. So When we're talking end game, there's a lot. I mean, Molten Core in particular. Like when I'm thinking about like the classes and what you've done with them. So survival hunters, well, not necessarily survival, but hunters, sorry, in general, getting explosive shot, looking like being able to trap in combat. You know, living bomb for mages, lava lash, lava burst for shamans. You've added a lot of abilities that do fire damage, and you know the first raid tier at level 60 has got a lot of bosses.
It's all fire.
No fire damage.
Yeah.
Is that something that I mean, my biggest concern actually was like on Shazra with an arcane mage, because it takes ridiculously reduced arcane damage. I know it's only one fight, but it then does limit the potential use of that brand new healing spec, you know, that you wouldn't want to take. Is there any changes to that we could expect?
I think level 60 is a pretty long ways away. You know, Molten Core is a long ways away.
Yeah. This is a really good question.
Players will be able to discover things that they might be able to use that beyond just, you know, things that cause fire damage in Molten Core once that rolls out.
Yeah, this is something we talked about even for the first phase too, as well. That you know, talking about what is the right kind of friction for original WoW, and that was something that I think at first we wanted to stick with, but you know, we'll see where we end up going.
No, cool. I mean, really, there probably is time for one more question, and I'll just leave it to you. Have you got anything that you want to share, like server name announcements anytime?
Server name announcements?
Anything you want to share at the end?
Oh my
honestly,
God.
I think the thing that I want to share is just a sincere thank you from the WoW Classic dev team. The reception and the excitement to Season of Discovery is overwhelming. We've been working on this for a while now, and it's something that we knew we had something special when we were working on it, but we didn't know how it was going to be received. You know, we thought it might be kind of divisive, and you know, there's always going to be people that have opinions about things, but we do have something special here, and we can't wait for you guys to get in and play it. And I think you're gonna find a lot to love here.
100%, dude. 100%.
I would encourage folks to, you know, let themselves enjoy the game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try not to like hyperfixate on.
Question have asked, with the ability to change room anytime, is there any chance of dual specs? Dual specs been confirmed, Woogie. Yeah, at BlizzCon, they said that they're doing two things. They're making sorry, responding to a question. They're making the costs for respecking very cheap, and they said you could possibly see dual spec. That means they're adding dual spec. In my head, that just means they're adding it. You know what I mean? Like there's no way they're not. With how many, you know, like variations they have to. That just makes sense to me. And they said you could possibly see it like
do what feels fun, you know. And I think that's when World of Warcraft truly shines.
Absolutely.
True.
I mean, I've been saying similar things. You know, I'm not putting any rune location videos out. I'm giving my channel a 7-day grace period. For 7 days, I'll be spoiling nothing. Everyone else can. I don't care. But you know, people can go and find it on their channels. But no, I personally want to enjoy it. You know, and just not worry about min-maxing to death. I've been looking this morning at a rep paladin. You know, healing as a rep paladin with a 2-hander using Crusader Strike. Martyrdom, so I'm a bit more of a mana battery at the same time as healing the tank, you know, and then what gear I'd use for that. You know, I'm gonna experiment.
That's cool.
I think between 1 and 60, like
that's cool as fuck.
Perfect time to be doing it anyway, in my opinion. So no, that's great. I really appreciate you coming. It's always a pleasure to talk to you both anyway. So I'm just looking forward to launch. But I did mention server names. Is that something that we're going to expect anytime soon?
You'll see the server names once the realms go
live. You see the names once the realms go live. Okay.
When we're trying to sort our guilds out.
Oh my
god. To go, you know.
Oh god.
Yeah, I think I saw Josh post a much more elaborate answer somewhere else, but the TLDR is that, you know, we don't plan on allowing stuff like name reservation and, you know, kind of pre-announcing all the server names beforehand.
Okay.
There may be a period of time where they become visible because we have to do internal testing and things like that. So that might happen over the next few days, but again, like what Nora alluded to, I made a big long post on Twitter about this, that it's essentially there's danger too. There is some harm that can be done by making this stuff known too early. And we really want everyone to have the best experience possible once they're in the realms and have all the realms we have, which is not going to be many, but we want them all to be healthy and we want them all to have long-term success. It's painful as someone who has run a guild for a long time myself. I also like to plan.
Yeah.
I also, on the other side of this, it's like, is it too much friction for me to just at everyone on Discord and say, okay, we're going here? The day of if it helps even in a little way, the realms be healthier long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that
Makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, the only thing I've got to say then is thank you and good job with Season Discovery. I can't wait to play it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Wow, what a good video, bro. What a good video. Actually, amazing video. Subscribe, like, easy clap. This is SCOTTEJAYE. If you guys don't know him, look at his fucking shit. He makes really good videos, really good interviews. Yeah.